Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, friends. Welcome back to the FCCT. Welcome to the FCCT if some of you are here for the first time. And for those of you who are here for the first time, this club is not restricted just to journalists. Anyone can become a member, and the forms and the rates and whatnot are at the front office. We are a very active press club, the most active press club in the region, actually. Before we get started, my name is Nirmal Ghosh. I'm a vice president of the board. And before we get started, I'll just run through some of the programs we have upcoming. On August 18th, I'll start with August 18th, which is a big night. It's the award ceremony for the FCCT's annual photojournalism contest. This is in collaboration with Light Rocket. So that's August 18th in the evening, and that features some of the most remarkable photography from photojournalists from around Asia. You'll see some really outstanding work in that exhibition, and the award ceremony is August 18th. On August 4th at 7 p.m. we have a slideshow and discussion titled Yangon Echoes Inside Myanmar's Heritage Homes. This is also something which one can't recommend too highly. Yangon is possibly the only large city left in the region with such a great standing stock of colonial era architecture and old Burmese homes. And this is going to be a revelatory slideshow. Then on August the 5th at 7 p.m. again, we have a panel discussion on US-Thai relations, the eagle and the elephant. A big topic again. As we know, the relationship between Thailand and the US has always been a special one, a very long alliance. However, since the current government took over last year, it has been a bit of a chill. And this has led to a lot of speculation, a lot of geopolitical maneuvering and balancing. And this will be a very, very interesting panel to come to. That is on August 5th. Right, then we come to this evening. Well, basically, there's a sense of deja vu, really, because Dr. Philip Round from Maidon is sitting over here, and when I asked him to come, just to be here, he told me that one of the first times when he coming to FCCT was in 1981, and there was a panel discussion. It was chaired by Dennis Gray, who was probably on the board or present at that time, and is still around, is the dean of the press corps, actually, for foreign press corps. And the theme of that discussion was apparently, is Thailand losing its wildlife? So here we are back in 2015, essentially asking the same question, but looking at the region as a whole, the greater Mekong sub-region, as it's called, as a whole. It is certainly too late for some other countries in the region. And remarkably, this region is one of the world's top 5 for biodiversity. As many as 367 new species were discovered and catalogued by scientists just between 2012 and 2013. Yet, the same region has lost nearly 1/3 of its forests in the last 35 to 40 years, and could be left with just 10 to 20% by 2030. And as we know, the region is getting much more developed under ASEAN integration plans, highways, railways, more dams, of course, on the Mekong system. And in a couple of hours' time, I know that the NGO Forest Trends will be bringing out a report with some really alarming statistics on Cambodia's forest loss. So things are not at all in a happy state in this area. And as it happens, today is also Global Tiger Day, which I actually didn't know when I was organizing this panel. I'm not really sure who decides these things, and I was telling Tom Gray it might well be WWF. But it's fortuitous anyway. And on the tiger, it is interesting because in January, India announced that its tiger population was 2,226. Out of a total of wild tigers of about, nobody really knows, but just about 3,000 is probably fairly rough estimate. Now, tiger numbers are small, but recovering relatively well in Russia, Nepal, Bhutan, India as well, of course. But the pressures are phenomenal. I mean, in this region, the total value UNODC has estimated of environmental crime, that is both timber and wildlife, is estimated at 23 billion US dollars, which is roughly the combined GDP of Laos and Cambodia. So they're really up against it, and we have today a top-notch panel which is going to answer all the questions. Some of the panelists have come straight out of a meeting with the DNP today, the Department of National Parks, where they were discussing how many tigers Thailand has. So that is one of the questions which could be asked. Dr. Anak Patnavibun has a remarkable career, has started out as a park ranger, did a master's in wildlife science at Oregon State University and a PhD in environmental geography at the University of Victoria in BC, Canada. He has worked extensively in Thailand's Western Forest Complex, which is really the last, or maybe the only and the best hope for tigers in this country. So he'll be telling us a little bit about that, and considering it's Global Tiger Day, it's probably appropriate to start with this flagship species, because regrettably it has virtually died out of Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam. So you could say the tiger's range is from Siberia to Sumatra, and you could have said until recently it was from Western India to Vietnam. You cannot say that any longer, unfortunately, except for perhaps one or two stray animals left. So functionally extinct already in half the Mekong sub-region. Then we have Dr. Thomas Gray, Regional Species Manager based in Phnom Penh for the WWF Greater Mekong region. He came first to the region in 2005 to study the Bengal florican, a remarkable bird. I think a lot of you over here would know that its courtship display is one of the phenomena of nature. And Brian Gonzalez we have from the Freeland Foundation, as well as Dr. Vatanarak, better known as Mark Su, former Interpol, who is going to tell us about the enforcement side of things. Questions later, right? So you'll join later? Okay. We call upon Mark. We're switching gears now to the protection and enforcement aspect of all this. So, right, Mark is going to tell us something about that, about ASEAN-WEN and how the region collaborates on enforcement.
Okay, good evening everyone. So my presentation, I have two parts. So the first one is going to be the video presentation, and another one is going to be the PowerPoint. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the video first.
Yes, it's beautiful. Southeast Asia is home to some of the rarest and most exquisite species on the planet, attracting conservationists, nature lovers, and visitors from around the globe. Sadly, not everyone's content to simply see the sights. Some want to poach, steal, or slaughter them. Southeast Asia is now a global hotspot for the illegal wildlife trade, worth billions of US dollars every year. If the illegal trade in rare and endangered species continues at the current rate, experts warn that at least 40% of Southeast Asia's animal and plant species could be wiped out this century.
What's more, we are increasingly seeing wildlife trafficking has serious implications for the security and prosperity of people around the world. Local populations that depend on wildlife, either for tourism or sustenance, are finding it harder and harder to maintain their livelihoods. Diseases are spreading to new corners of the globe through wildlife that is not properly inspected at border crossings. Park rangers are being killed. And we have good reason to believe that rebel militias are players in a worldwide ivory market worth millions and millions of dollars a year.
To combat the illegal wildlife trade, the ASEAN Wildlife Enforcement Network was launched in 2005. ASEAN-WEN is part of the Regional Action Plan on Trade in CITES, Wild Fauna and Flora, devised by all 10 ASEAN countries. It's now the largest intergovernmental wildlife enforcement network in the world. The network faces a daunting task, but cross-border cooperation between customs, police and enforcement agencies of the 10 ASEAN member states has brought results. In the past 4 years, ASEAN-WEN has rescued more than 150,000 live animals. These tiny cubs are just a handful of wildlife trade victims freed by vigilant customs officers at Bangkok airport a year ago. And this massive haul of ivory tusks, amounting to 120 dead elephants, was intercepted on a flight from East Africa to Laos in a consignment marked as telecommunications equipment. The tusks are just a tiny fragment of the massive 40 metric tons of ivory seized by enforcement officials in ASEAN since 2009. And their achievements haven't gone unnoticed.
Some of the most successful initiatives we've seen so far are the regional wildlife enforcement networks. These networks are critical to strengthening protection efforts and enhancing cooperation among key countries.
Despite the success stories, for every consignment intercepted, it's generally accepted that hundreds more illicit cargoes slip across ASEAN borders every day. Strong, effective cooperation, resources, and commitment by governments and their staff are needed if ASEAN-WEN is to win the war against ruthless and well-organized wildlife traffickers. ASEAN-WEN is supported by the United States Agency for International Development's ARREST program, implemented by Freeland Foundation. Other partner organizations include the CITES Secretariat, INTERPOL, the World Customs Organization, Traffic Southeast Asia, and TRACE. ASEAN-WEN is the commitment of the 10 ASEAN member states to develop a strong network of task forces and interagency cooperation among law enforcement agencies across the region. Training, raising awareness, collaborating on investigations, and sharing information about wildlife crime. Enforcement agencies in Southeast Asia and around the world are now working together to fight illegal wildlife trafficking and protect the region's biodiversity. Working with CITES, so a century from now, our great-grandchildren can witness the wonders of our wildlife and still say, yes, it's beautiful.
ASEAN is committed to realizing the ASEAN community by 2015. Issues confronting the conservation and sustainable management of wildlife resources under CITES carry strong negative implications to the three pillars of the ASEAN community. Successful cooperation on CITES issues under ASEAN will not only promote generally the sustainable management and protection of the rich biodiversity that the ASEAN region has, but specifically it will effectively provide ASEAN countries effective mechanisms and safeguards in ensuring that the three pillars of the ASEAN community are promoted.
Okay. So basically now, which I just see the video presentation about the ASEAN Wildlife Enforcement Network, and then I will talk about the Operation Crowbar, which is one of the very successful operations that we have, and we conduct the Operation Cobra is we have 1, 2, and 3, and recently we just finished the third Operation Cobra. So before we go to the Operation Cobra, I will talk about how it happened. So basically, at the ASEAN-WEN meeting in 2008, at the Special Investigation Group, at this time, we thinking we would like to create a task force that is really focusing on the specific animal. So at that time, we creating the Special Investigation Group, or we call the SIG, and we focusing on the pangolin and the big cat. And then on the October 2010, so the SIG is expanded to not only include the ASEAN member state, we also have the South Asia Wildlife Enforcement Network and the Lusaka Agreement Task Force to join with us. And since the African country is participate, we also focus on the elephant ivory and the rhino horn trade. On June 2010, so this week we went to the Nanning in China because as of we know that the Chinese is one of the biggest consumer country. So at this time the Chinese is they agree to join the SIG with us and working to fight against the wildlife crimes. On the October 2012, so basically in the meetings of the ASEAN-WEN, SAR-WEN, and then the LATIF, we was discussed we would like to create some of the operations that is a real-time and face-to-face networking. And then in this meeting, we agree that we would like to create the Operation Cobra 1. So basically, the Operation Cobra 1 is on the January 2013 in Bangkok. So basically, in this meeting, it's a 1 month long operation. And we have about 22 participating countries in the world. And for the Operation Cobra 1 result, so this is the seizure that we made. I will go really quickly and focus on the Operation Cobra 3. And on March 2013, at the DTAC manager course in Bangkok, so basically we are conducting the Operation Cobra 2. So basically, as you can see in the picture, so face-to-face networking is equally to task and result. The reason why for the law enforcement officials, if it not trust, so it's very difficult to work and sharing the information. Because if you don't trust, how can you believe if you share your information or your intelligence, it will go to the right people or the right organizations. So basically, you know, when the operation, when you're working together, so they're creating more tasks. The picture here is the Operation Cobra 2 based in Bangkok. And for the Operation Cobra 2, we have 28 participating countries. And for the Cobra 2, we have 2 war rooms. So one is in Bangkok, Thailand. As the picture you can see in the area Bangkok, and the another one is in the Nairobi, Kenya. And this is the result of the Operation Cobra 2. And it's not only the wildlife that we seizure, it's a lot of the illegal logging, like rosewood, for example. And for the rosewood, this specific case, basically they have the illegal shipment of rosewood logging in Tanzania from Madagascar, based on the intelligence provided by the IQUIC partner to the ICT. The ICT stands for the International Coordination Team. And then for the International Coordination Team, we pass forward to the Tanzania officer. So this is the Cobra 2 as well. And we also collecting the DNA test analysis for the future reference as well. And the Operation Cobra 3 is on the May 4 to May 27, 2015. At this time, we thinking to war room. It doesn't work well for us, so that's why we conduct only one war room here in Bangkok. So of course this time the IQUIC they are sponsor for the financials and then the technical support. So basically for the Operation Cobra 3 we have 62 countries participating, including in the 6 regions: ASEAN, East Asia, South Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, and of course the representative from the International Consortium on Combating Wildlife Crimes, or the IQUIC. And the picture you hear, we was announced the readiness of the Operation Cobra 3 at the INTERPOL General Secretariat in Lyon, France. And as you can see, they have more countries participating now, which is 62 countries. And this is the first time that the European Union also participate with us. And then for the intergovernmental organizations, of course, before the CITES Secretariat and the World Customs Organization participate in the Cobra 1 and Cobra 2. But for the Cobra 3, the Interpol and the Europol is also on board with us, and also the ASEAN-WEN as well. If talking about the U.S. government organizations, we have the International Crimes Investigative Training Assist Program, or the ECTAP, and then the United States Fish and Wildlife Service. So basically on the 18th June 2015, at the Royal Thai Police Headquarters, the law enforcement official from the 62 countries, we have the press conference, same time and same day, globally. So the outcomes of the Operation Cobra 3, basically we have more than 300 seizure of the suspect, including the kingpin, and over 600 seizure of assorted wildlife counterbands. And as you can see on this one, that the seizure of the 4.3 tons one of the largest elephant ivory hunt in Thailand on transit from Congo, and then the destination to Laos PDR. And in the following weeks, we also seizure the 3.1 ton of the ivory from Kenya shipped to the to here as well. And then not so long after, at the Singapore also seizure the 3.7 ton and so forth. So basically, it's a lot of outcome that you can see. Okay. So the arrest suspect, including the egg kingpin, is one Chinese national involved in Namibia, biggest rhino horn smuggling case. Another is elephant poacher in India, and the two Chinese nationals in relate to the seizure of 1.3 tons and 65 rhino horns, and 4 Vietnamese nationals in the seizure of 12 rhino horns in Mozambique. So the 6 key suspects were arrested in Kenya in connection with the 3.1 ton and 3.7 ton of the elephant ivory seizure in Thailand and Singapore, respectively, while 2 kingpin involved in this case are fugitive. And in India, also 3 suspects arrested in connection to the position of the suspect tiger bones. Thank you.